welcome to Battleground Studios. I'm your host, Eric, and today accompanying me is an amazing woman of God. The Lord has been working in her life, and we've seen it throughout her lifestyle and what He's doing. And I brought her on here today to share not only a little bit of her story, but also what she's going to be doing because the Lord has stirred something in her heart. And like we all should do, she's going to pursue it. She has faith in it. She's going to pursue it. So with that being said, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ariel Johnson.
Mm.
I was born and raised here in Bristol, Tennessee.
Awesome. Okay, Ariel. So, Ariel, before we get started and talk about the ministry and what God's doing in your life, first off, you said you're here from Bristol, right?
Mhm.
So, do you have any siblings? Or
Yeah, I
anything?
have a younger sister.
Okay.
She lives in Kingsport now, and she works for Sullivan County.
Awesome. Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I think it's good when people talk about themselves and show basically like where the Lord brought you out of. And like I said, you don't have to get into detail, but just as detail as you want. Just tell your story. Like how did you grow up in church? Like was your family always supportive? Like just who is Ariel basically?
Yeah, I grew up in a Presbyterian church.
Okay.
It was actually right beside my mom's house, so we walked there every Sunday.
All
They
right.
had Bible schools and Sunday night. I was a big part of the youth group there too.
Right.
Growing up in it, we'd go on events, bowlings, outings, everything. And
And
then
you said it's here in Bristol?
yeah, it's it's technically Bluff City, like way
Okay.
out.
Yep. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. So was your parents? So they always had you in church, you
Yep.
and your sister.
Mhm.
So did you give your life to the Lord when you was younger, or
I
was it when you was a
did.
little older?
I think it was in 2008 or 9.
Okay,
I think so.
interesting. So you're married, right?
Yes.
Married, your
Mhm.
husband.
Yes.
Do you guys have any kids?
I have a stepdaughter, Lucy. She
Okay.
actively helps me serve here too as
Which
well.
is an awesome young lady, by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah, she's wonderful.
She does a lot of good. She does a lot of stuff. It's like every time that I'm here for events, for youth things, like she's always here and she's always smiling.
Oh, it
She
makes
always
my
like
heart
that.
so happy. Oh yes, like she's more like her dad than she lets on.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
she is like
I think that's
a
like
wonderful
every girl.
person. Yeah, but like it makes my heart so happy to see her serving.
Yeah.
And
How old is she?
she'll be 13 next month.
13,
Mhm.
man. What a blessing. What a
Yeah.
blessing. So what talking about this ministry and so what ministry do you feel like actually let me backtrack. Did you serve when you was in church when you was younger? Or is this something that you just recently started doing?
So a couple years ago, we started going to my husband's sister's church, and
Okay.
I actually sang and played guitar there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
So you play guitar?
Uh,
This is a hidden talent.
not well, not well. I think I'm half tone deaf, so like
Oh, okay.
to me, I don't play well. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
played in front of people, so I couldn't be that bad,
Right.
to my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah,
Hidden talent.
yeah,
Hidden talent.
yeah.
That's cool.
I played and sang there, and I just something still felt missing. Like
Mhm.
I can't explain it. Like something
Right.
just it didn't feel like home almost.
Okay, gotcha.
And COVID hit, and we just stopped going. They were one of the churches that kind of closed down,
Mm-hmm.
and I just stopped going.
Right.
And I kind of steered away a little bit.
Yeah.
And Felicia, that also goes here. Lucy's Mimi.
Yep.
She was messaging me,
Awesome
hey,
lady.
yeah, oh, yeah. She was messaging me, hey, just come one time. Lucy loves it. You'll have a blast. Just
Yeah.
come and try it. And so finally, after about 2 or 3 months of her, messaging me,
Mhm.
I came, and I'm pretty sure it was in like May or June. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I just never left.
Wow. And it's so cool, and I see this time and time again. Which, like, most people know here, like, I didn't grow up in church, but one of the coolest things that I see is you'll see youth. You'll see the youth coming, and like it's like because parents love their kids so much when they see their kids like you want to know what your kids are doing, you want to know what's going on. So when you see her doing that, it's almost like, well, if she's having this much joy, I want to check it out.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
kind of how it was?
It was like Lucy, like we homeschool Lucy, and
Mhm.
so like I like having her in active things where she's with other kids her age and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yep.
And our old church really didn't have that. Like
Mhm.
the youth was very small, and that's nothing wrong with that.
Right,
They were still
right.
learning about Jesus and everything else.
Absolutely.
And
Still effective.
oh yeah, when she got here, she blossomed. Oh my goodness! Like she went from this shy little girl
Yeah.
into this wonderful woman.
Awesome.
And like I'm tearing up. It makes me it makes
As
me
you
so
should. That's
happy.
proud. You should be proud
Like,
of that. Yeah.
I mean, she helps me clean Kid Life when I clean
Yeah.
Kid Life. She was up there working the apple stand for Rush, and like
Man.
she blossomed, and she was even handing out flyers at one of the worship in the parks. I think is where it's at.
Yep, that's
But
what it was.
yeah, she was even trying to get kids to come to church and to rush and to. I'm like, who is this shy
And-
little girl that was scared to talk? Like,
Man,
this girl still don't order her own food in restaurants.
wow.
Okay, but
Yeah.
like when she's here,
The Lord does something when she's here,
yes,
right?
yes,
Man.
it's amazing.
And that's good because, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, of course, I'm always teaching my kids and I'm in their life, I'm doing these things,
Yeah.
but man, I learn so much from them. Like, I learned so much from my kids. Like, it's more of a blessing for me to be able to learn from them than them learning from me.
Absolutely.
But that's good. Like it's good to hear that. So, your husband, did he grow up in church?
He did. His papa was actually a preacher.
Awesome,
His
awesome.
papa, he passed away a couple years ago, but
Okay.
he married us, and
Awesome.
he, you know, grew up under him, and
Yep.
his mama was a wonderful Christian preacher.
Good,
Like,
good.
they are a big inspiration on why I'm so active in church now.
Man, that's good. That's good. And I actually shared this with you earlier. You know, I love to see, because, you know, Joel speaks about it from the pulpit all the time, you know, women leading their families and bringing them to church. But the reality of it is men should be leading our families, right?
Right.
And my wife, I wasn't in church, but my wife, you know, she grew up in church, and it kind of said like she grew up in church, but, you know, when my father-in-law passed away, she started going to this church that she went to when she was a little girl, and she actually got me into church. So I know that, you know, when your wife is in church and your kids are doing these things, just the impact not only it has on your marriage, but like your whole family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's super cool to see that. And I actually got to speak with your husband at one of our events. Awesome guy. Awesome guy.
Oh yeah, I love him.
He's a good man.
He's a wonderful dad too.
Is
Like
it? He seems like it.
he
He
is,
seems
yeah.
like he seems like an authentic guy. You know, sometimes you be around people and they kind of put on this kind of front, but he was open, ready for a conversation. Like he's a good guy. it
And
seems.
believe it or not, he's not always been like that.
Really,
Yeah.
wow. Does he seem, is he kind of shy, or is he always outgoing?
I mean, he's always been outgoing, but
Mhm.
he's like, he won't start the conversation per se.
Right,
But
yeah.
if you go to him and you talk to
He's all
him,
about
like
it.
he'll talk to you all day.
Man, good. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that with us about your family and getting to know everybody. So, one thing that the Lord has just put on you, I believe, and I would love for you to talk to us about is this new ministry that you've started.
So I actually have got a name for it now.
Okay, what's
I
the name?
have prayed on it, and I have like 4 different options. I've consulted with Travis, and I messaged Holly, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what to do, but I think I want to call it the Hanada Ministry.
What's that?
Hanada means prayer warrior.
Oh wow! Is that so? What is that? Is that Hebrew? Is that some kind of
I think it was either Hebrew or
Aramaic?
Greek. Yeah, one of those,
Greek
because I
or
was
Greek, yeah.
Googling like different words
Yeah.
for prayer and warrior
That's
and like
awesome.
leader, and
No.
I was like, I like the Hanada.
Yeah.
leadership.
So what inspired this? You know, of course, the Holy Spirit put it on your heart, but what inspired you? Because when I heard, so originally it's called drive-through prayer, correct?
Right.
So when I first heard that, and like I said, there's still lingo like church-wise that I'm still learning. So when I
Right.
heard drive-through prayer, I'm like, so you like, do you drive through in your car? Like, do you drive by people's houses and pray? Like, how does this work? So kind of explain to people, how does drive-through prayer? What is it, and like, kind of how does it work?
So I was on Facebook one day,
Mhm.
and I think it was actually Angie shared a post from her mom, and it was the drive-through prayer, and
Okay.
it was posting about how people were driving through and they were going up to the cars and praying with them, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh my goodness, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like our city, not like our city, our country
Yes.
needs this, and excuse me, I was like stewing on it, and like I told you earlier, once God puts something on me,
Mhm.
like I gotta do it. Like
Absolutely.
I can't not ignore it. And
Yeah.
so finally, like after 3 days, I think I messaged Felice and I was like, hey, have you heard of this? She's like, oh yeah, there's a church that does it down at Exit 5
Oh,
at
wow.
the post office. And I'm like, that's cool. Okay.
Did it kind of make you feel like, oh man, somebody already does it?
I was
right?
like, I really still think it's a good idea. I was
Absolutely.
like, where do I start? And I was
Yeah.
like thinking, so I think either I messaged Angie or Angie messaged me, and I was talking about, I made a post, that's what it was,
Mhm.
about places that would allow me to use their space for people to drive up and to pray with them.
Yep.
Now, I'm not, I'm actually not very shy. Like I've never prayed out loud before.
Yeah.
And so like,
Which is pretty common.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, you know, I can still remember the first time I had to pray out loud was in a Bible study. And I've always been a pretty outgoing guy, pretty,
Yeah.
you know, talking.
see,
energetic.
that's me.
But when it come to like praying in front of people, like I felt like I ran a marathon. Like I was sweating so bad, I
Right?
felt like I just ran
Yeah.
4 miles.
So the first time I prayed out loud was actually with Pastor Joel.
Which is that's a big deal. I mean, praying for your pastor is like the first step you take praying out loud. You're praying for your pastor.
It was
right?
so weird though. Once I prayed for him,
Yeah.
I felt this sense of relief. Like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I can do this.
Yeah.
But like Angie said that Pastor Joel said it was okay to use the church to drive through prayer.
Yeah.
I'm like, awesome, sweet. Let me get a team together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who am I going to get help me?
Yeah.
So who else? I messaged Travis. I was like, hey man, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I love that idea. That's fantastic. Yeah. And so, you know, I made a post about it. You know, you announced it in church a couple times.
Yeah.
And then Norma and her husband came.
Still?
Yeah,
Yep.
I have trouble saying his name.
It's all right.
They came, and Ed and Maya. And then, you know, Felicia came the second day.
And Lucy was there too, right?
Oh, Lucy and Liam both. Liam holding that little sign up saying, let me pray for you. I was like, oh, my heart.
It's special.
And the first night we did it on a Friday night first, and we got a couple people. It was not nothing like I wasn't disappointed, but I was like, God's got something coming for me.
Absolutely.
Like I felt it from my ears to my toes.
Yeah.
And like Saturday morning came, and I went in the church and I knelt down and I prayed. I said, Lord, I was like, I know you have me here today. I was like, I know there is a reason you pulled me here today with this crew.
Amen.
I was
to
like,
that.
show me. And so we get started, and the first like 30, 45 minutes is slow. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. And then the next thing I know, we have cars pulling up. And I'm like,
what do I do?
This is awesome. What's even crazier is down at the end of the church, that stop sign, tractor trailer pulled up.
Wow.
And Norma
Did he pull it in the parking lot?
No, he stopped it at the stop sign. He stopped at the stop sign.
Was he backing up traffic?
Yeah. And Travis and Norma went over there and prayed with him.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I had a cop pulling up, which is actually one of my husband's buddies.
Really?
And, yeah. Wow. And I was like, oh my goodness. And we ended up having, I think, 17 altogether for the first time.
Yeah.
And I looked at Travis and Norma. I was like, dude, my goal is I want both of these lanes full of cars. I want 10, 15 people, prayers here. Yes. And I was like, I want to expand this so much.
Yeah.
So then we got to talking, and I'm actually looking in to go into police stations and fire stations and praying over us going to them.
Yeah.
And us.
And they need that.
Yeah. I mean, my dad's a cop. My father-in-law's a cop.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's something very...
So it's extra special to you.
Yeah. And like my sister works in dispatch, and she hears all this crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, the way the world is now, I want to go pray with them, give a sense of relief. And so like I'm looking into going to Sullivan County and Bristol City. And there's even the Bristol, Virginia, you know, down there. And I'm like, I want to do this. I was like, but I can't do it all by myself.
You're right.
And so I don't know. I'm ready to run with it.
And it's so good hearing that because, you know, the Lord put this on your heart. And instead of just sitting on it and just, you know, just thinking about it, because that's the amazing thing about the Bible. It's not a book that we're just supposed to read and memorize. It's a book that we're supposed to do. Right?
There's so many passages. I know First Thessalonians, it says, never stop praying.
Amen.
Never stop praying. There is so many times that it's said in the Bible, and it's like, how have I not thought this before? Like, it's written over and over and over again.
Non-stop.
You know, pray for your community, pray for your pastor, pray for your like, you know, it's over and over.
Never
and
to
I'm
cease
like,
praying.
Yeah. And I was like, this is crazy that it happened. Like, it happened fast too. Like, I think the first time was like September 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th, and I think I seen the post like the beginning of August.
Yeah.
And so once, you know, Pastor Joel and Angie gave me the go ahead, I was like, all right, I'm doing this.
You were ready to go.
Like, I don't care if I am the only person there. Like, God put me there for a reason.
Absolutely. And that's how you got to be. I mean, that says so much because, you know, we'll like I said, we'll sit and think about things, and we'll literally get to the point that we think ourselves out of it. We'll think ourselves out of a situation or out of something that God put on our lives. And it's so cool to see how you just stepped out in faith. You know, you may have thought about it, but you're like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That out of my comfort zone. So I'm gonna tell you, I got baptized in February. And funny thing is, Lucy is one of the reasons why I got baptized. Wow. She came to me and said, hey, I'd like to, you know, take mine. I'm like, oh, cool, let's do it. Like, I'm ready. Like I will do it with you. When I came out of that water, like, it was like a light had shone, and I'm like,
a new creation.
Yeah, and I was like, I can do this. And from that moment up until now, like, I have came so far. Like, I have never, like, this right here, if you would ask me in February, I'd be like, you're crazy. Like, no way.
Yeah. So would you say, just from you saying that right there, would you say that you were never like this before? Like, you were never one to speak in front of people like this, or obviously pray in front of people, but were you ever the type that would say or do things in front of people, or were you always like behind closed door kind of
So it's
person?
kind of hit or miss. Like, I played the guitar and sang at church, but the pastor would always lead, and I would quietly be in the background. Like, I never really, I think I did one solo growing up with guitar, and like, I've never really approached people, or I've always been kind of in the background. If you ask my husband, he'll say there's no way, because like,
I think any husband can attest to that with our wives.
Yeah, like, I talk all the time, but you have to approach me. You have to come to me. And so, like, I've called myself those little signs that Joel said. It said, "This is your sign." I've got those, and like the music ones, and I go through drive-through, and I'm like, "Hey, here you go."
And that's practicing. That's practicing your boldness and your courage, and practicing in that faith. And people think, they kind of brush off little things like that, but they're so important because it helps you to break. Like, if you're, like you said, if you're a quiet person who waits for somebody else to lead it and you step in, like, when you do those little acts of handing those cards out, or you do those little acts of, hey, I'm praying for you, like, it's showing you having faith, and you're breaking out of that comfort zone, and it's showing that God is truly using you in a big way.
So, Joel said that you can plant the seeds, but someone else can water them.
Right, and that's scripture.
Yeah, and so, like, to me, like, this drive-through prayer, if I pray with one person that's not saved and I plant that seed in them.
Yep, absolutely.
If I have just one.
Yep.
It's worth it. I will stand out there 8 hours if I have one person I can plant a seed and have them go water it.
Absolutely, because look, and you're absolutely right, it's biblical that, we may plant the seed and someone else may water it, but it's up to God on whether that person, and up to them.
Right.
God's going to, bring that harvest out, but it's up to that person to actually act on that. And it's so good so with the drive-through prayer, it's super cool how you do it. So basically, you guys are standing outside, you encourage people to come, they come, and you pray for them right there in their car. They don't even have to get out, right?
They literally, like, you pull up to a drive-through and pay for your food. You pull up to me and I pray for you.
And that's awesome. And so, and you guys pray for anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have trouble with it. Bring it to us. Top deal.
Good. And so with your team, and I know all your team. So is this something that you look to? We've talked about doing it on Sunday as well, but is this something that you just really feel that could change a lot of things?
I do.
You do? And the reason I ask that is because I love when people do prayer ministries, because the thing about prayer, and I've always been one, I'm guilty of this. When I first became a believer, of course I knew prayer was important, but sometimes I just kind of pushed it to the side. But the reality of it is, man, prayer, like, that is our one-line communication with God. And so to have you guys actually out there praying with people and basically being their inner, like, in between them, like, hey, I'm going to pray. I may not know you, but I'm going to pray for you. And I think that says a lot for people, because just to know that people has prayed for me to be here right now, and to act out, because, I had a man plant a seed in my life with Jesus. And he planted that seed. And when I gave my life to the Lord, it was more like a get out of hell free kind of thing, right? Because I accepted Jesus, so I don't have to go to hell now, is how I looked at it.
Yeah.
And so knowing that man and his wife that I lived with, they prayed for me. I know they did, without a fact. They prayed for me every single day. And to this day, they still talk to me and my wife and my kids. It's almost like they're my grandparents in a sense.
Yeah.
Or my kids' grandparents and my parents, like another set of parents. Yeah. And it's so cool because I know they prayed for me.
Yeah.
And I know that they had people around them praying for me. So what you're doing, I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. And I truly believe that God has put it on your heart, because it's already affecting people. And everybody was talking about it. Like, everybody, like Sil and Norma and Travis.
So
like,
I've never even met them until they showed up for my drive-through prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really don't know that many people. Like, that says a lot.
And they're awesome prayer warriors, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I love them so much already.
Yeah. Like, awesome people. But I encourage you to keep doing it, because, like I said, like you said, you're planting that seed. If anything else, you're planting the seed and showing people like, hey, your family may have problems with you, your siblings may have problems with you, your spouse may have a problem with you, but I'm gonna pray for you.
Right.
I don't know I don't even know you, but I'm gonna pray for you, and I'm gonna write down your name. I'm gonna pray for you.
Right.
So that's an amazing thing, and I thank you and your team for that, and it's awesome. So with that being said, do you guys have a Facebook page? Are you going to create one maybe, or is it
it's
still
in
like
the works.
in the works? Okay.
It's in the works, yeah. But if you have questions, you can come talk to me or Travis, or I mean Norma does it, Ed, Maya. Like they can either direct you to me or answer your questions. Like I said, I want it to grow. I want it to be bigger. I want to move it places. Like
absolutely,
it's going to take a team.
Yeah, 100%. It takes more than one, right? And so with that. So you're in the works to make it. I think it'd be good if you did make a page. That's awesome. So with that being said, when's the next one? So they got one coming up, right?
Yeah, it's actually this Saturday.
This
21st.
The 21st. Okay. What time?
It starts at 10.
Okay.
And we say it ends at 12, but if we still have cars coming, we stay.
Good.
So, it's just one of those things, they can't really put a time limit on. If people come to you and they need your help, like, you're not going to turn them away type deal.
Yeah. So, absolutely. Okay. So, the 21st, this upcoming Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock to 12. But, if you come in late, it's okay. They will wait.
Yeah.
If you're in that line and they see you, they will wait and pray for you.
And even if you're interested in, like, helping us, if you just want to come see what we're doing and, like, how we do it, just come check it out. You don't have to stay the whole time.
Awesome.
It's fun.
Well, Ariel, it's been awesome. I'm glad you got to, share a little bit about you. I didn't know the whole guitar thing. I didn't know all that.
That's something I don't share a lot.
Well, we're glad that you did, because it shows a different side of you. I'm glad we got to know you more, and like I said, I'm excited for this ministry. I talk with leadership, like we're all excited because prayer is so vital in church, so vital, and it's awesome to see that it's not just on a Sunday. Right? It's not just on a Wednesday, but it's on a Saturday, first thing in the morning, basically. When people can start their weekend off right, start their Saturday off right, because in America we're always doing stuff on Saturdays, right? So I think it's awesome, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of Real Life Church. I think it's amazing, and I'm super glad to have you as my sister in Christ, and I look forward to seeing what God does with this, because just like I told Angel, you can tell that this is something that God put on your heart. It's not just something that you put on your heart, right? So thank you for that, Ariel, and we look forward to having a conversation with you in a couple let's just say a couple months. We'll see how this goes. We'll come bring you back and see how this ministry's doing.
Absolutely.
But is there anything else you want to share with anybody?
I think that pretty much
think we all know it
covers it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.